Welcome to the Force Friday show where we discuss all things Star Wars. And joining me as ever is Stephen to discuss a whole manner of topics. First and foremost, the headline being that Luke Skywalker's twist in The Last Jedi was planned from the very beginning. I don't know what they're talking about for Stephen because I didn't realise it was a twist. Firstly, I didn't ever think it was a twist. Luke was this grumpy old embittered man hiding in a hermit hill in the middle of the Irish Sea. I didn't think that was a twist. I just thought that was a plot point.
No, it was like a reveal. Yeah, it was. You know, it wasn't a twist at all.
But the basic premise of this article was that some guy, some concept artist, I believe his name is Christian Alsman, posted on Instagram, I believe, a photo from all the way back in January 2013 of a bit of concept art revolving around a certain Mr. Luke Skywalker, and he's bearded. He's got very dead looking grey eyes. I didn't realise Luke had grey eyes. I thought he had blue eyes. And he's sporting a man bun, which, funnily enough, is all the rage just now. But it's the lines underneath, Stephen, that he says, even back then, Luke was being described as a Colonel Kurtz type hiding from the world in a cave. Obviously, Colonel Kurtz was the man from Apocalypse Now, played by the great late Marlon Brando. Bit of a reclusive figure who surrendered himself away into the woods of, I believe, Vietnam, I think it was. Yeah. It's been a while since I've watched it. Fantastic film. But he essentially lost his mind in the middle of the woods. He was isolated and he flipped his lid. So this is what he's getting at. Even back then, this plot point for Luke was being discussed. It was going to be this reclusive, hidden away figure who'd lost touch with reality, lost touch with his friends in the Force and the Jedi way. And it was they always had this darker, different look in mind, even from before the Disney takeover. I think this was prior to the Disney takeover, so it's not all Rian Johnson's fault after all. That's what they're saying. So what are your thoughts on that, Stephen?
Firstly, I can see why J.J. Abrams didn't touch this with a barge pole, John, because the expectation of this said character has been it's been long awaited for the fans of Star Wars to see where Luke Skywalker is after Return of the Jedi. You've got to remember as well that from a real world perspective here, that Star Wars fans weren't conditioned in any fashion to prepare themselves for this version of Luke Skywalker. This is a man that's developed and matured over 30 years, like we all do. After 30 years, we're not the same person after 30 years, or we shouldn't be. If you're still the same person you were when you were in your teens or whatever, then there's certainly something up with you. Because it didn't matter who was going to be directing or telling this story. This is the position of this character at this stage, and Luke Skywalker is probably my favourite character in film. I got over it very quickly because I understood that there had to be a story there. I don't think it would have been very interesting as really going over old ground with Luke building the Jedi Academy, etc. We knew that from those legend books, and we got a bit of it in The Last Jedi, thankfully, where he did mention it in a couple of lines about the Jedi Academy and Ben Solo and his relationship there. But I think that would have been the case anyway. Start again. I think that would have been the case anyway if George Lucas was still on board and he was still manning the ship. That is Lucasfilm. Unfortunately, someone's got to take the hit. Rian Johnson, give him credit, I think he was brave enough to take the mantle from J.J. Abrams, because J.J. Abrams did set up Luke Skywalker as this magical myth in The Force Awakens. There was a couple of lines in that really did build him up as this mysterious figure in the galaxy, and didn't really help Rian Johnson's case. No. But it was always going to be the case. That ending for The Force Awakens as well was pretty epic. It's one of the best endings to any Star Wars film. The continuance of that scene was a bit of a letdown for a lot of Star Wars fans, including myself. I didn't really like the way.
Just because of the clash and tone, wasn't it?
It was totally jarring. But just getting back to this article, John, it's very interesting to see that this would have been the direction that they would have went down if things had stayed the same with George Lucas. Being in charge. So I get it, and I think it's a place where, for character development and for the audience to be interested in a character, he's got to be in a conflicted place. I don't want to really see the Luke Skywalker we saw at the end of Return of the Jedi, who was very content He was very happy with himself. He'd made peace with the Force, etc. If we're picking that up in 2017 when the film came out, you've got to remember that they're still telling stories, and they're going to continue telling stories, whether it be in book form or animation or live action or film. Yep. They're still telling these stories. We are going to get Luke Skywalker stories in between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens now that, most of it's all came out now. Yep. Especially with Luke passing on. We're going to get that now. If you didn't have this conflicted character, we're not going to get the build up to that. If it's going to be a pretty bland storyline, those 30 years from 1983 to 2017. I just wouldn't be interested in reading it if it was just going to be the same Luke Skywalker we knew from Return of the Jedi. But the point I'm trying to make is the audience were conditioned for this. There was such a big gap between 1983 and 2017 that it was always going to be jarring for us all. I remember that experience of watching The Last Jedi for the first time nearly a year ago now. Yeah. And I came out feeling very unsatisfied, but it takes a while to really absorb where that character is gone and where he's been. And once we get all the other stuff coming out in regards to this character, and as I said, in books and stuff like that, then we'll finally get it. We did get hints of it through the storytelling from Ben's point of view and Luke's point of view, although Ben's was a bit exaggerated. We got the sort of gist of why he is the way he is, but I thought it was handled the best it could be, and I was quite satisfied with the way that Luke's arc was complete, although it may not be, and there's rumours going about episode 9 just now, but at this point I'm quite satisfied with the way that Luke ended his physical presence. Yeah,
and I completely agree. What I actually laughed at in this article though, Steve, was a quote, or not a quote, it's just the guy who wrote it says it, he wasn't quoting anybody. He says that many argue that Luke would never have changed this much, that he would remain a hopeful, passionate child well through adulthood. Luke, they would argue, would exist in some creepy stage of arrested development, never maturing or growing out of young childhood. Sound familiar in the brackets. Also having a dig at some sections of the fandom who were staunchly against this version of Luke, and they were obviously throwing the toys out of the pram and abusing everyone on Twitter, including Ryan Johnson. I can get on board with what they're saying. These people are just not being realistic with the character. They want him to be the exact same man we've seen in 1983 with Return of the Jedi, where he's just became this Jedi Master figure, Jedi Knight figure. I don't even know if he was a Master by that point. But he was just a Knight at that point. I don't think he'd reached the level of Master. He hadn't been granted the title of Master, but he probably would have had a seat on the council if it was there at the time, which I think he would have handled better than Anakin. Yeah. But hey ho, he's a maturer man than his father was at this stage. What can I say? He'd seen some shit. But look, it's not realistic to have a man like that 30 years later, as you did say, for the very reasons you said, Stephen. Too much of a disconnect. 30 years, everybody changes tremendously over a period of time like that. They're never going to be this young, hopeful person who's just getting in touch with the Force and learning about his abilities. You need to remember, Luke was a late developer. You can't expect him 30 years later to be the exact same person. And the reason why people, I think, were so disappointed is, again, what you said, Stephen, the fact that it was a big disconnect between the Return of the Jedi and the Force Awakens, or the Last Jedi. Such a long time. They were never going to be happy with what they got, even if he had been a more upbeat version of himself, hadn't disconnected himself from the Force. They'd have still had some gripe, because he wasn't like they'd seen in the expanded universe version of the character, where he was almost like just continuing on in this same vein that we've seen in the original trilogy, sipping on hot cocoa up on the rooftop that Lando had made him and things like that. That's just ridiculous stories you got in the EU. One thing I would say with the EU is I did like the relationship he had with Mara Jade, and also having a child and stuff like that. I'd have liked to have seen him shuck the traditional ways of the Jedi, because it was clear it never worked with Anakin. That was his reason for falling into the dark side. This forbidden relations with people not being able to love someone. You have to remain distant and cold to certain emotions, because it can lead you to the dark side. It was clear that's what caused him to fall to the dark side, having to hide these emotions, his relationship. So I'd have liked to have seen him ditch that and go off and do something different with the new order of the Jedi, like he did in the EU. But that story may well have happened within the 30 years gap between Return of the Jedi and The Last Jedi. So we may get to see that, and I think I don't know if it will come in novel or comic book form. I think we may see it pop up in the TV show. The way Disney are, that in Lucasfilm are now heading, it's clear to me that they're announcing new TV shows almost weekly now. So I think we'll definitely see a Luke Skywalker TV show set in his younger years. Whether we see Mark Hamill coming back de-aged, I doubt it.
No.
I think it'll probably be Sebastian Stan, who or someone in that ilk anyway, that will fill in the role, and we'll get to see more of what shaped him up to the man we see in The Last Jedi and the sequel trilogy. Then, when we see it in context for what he's been through and the adventures he's maybe been on, learning these different facets of the Force and stuff like that, then in context we may look at the man we see in The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens a little bit differently. Once you see his full life fleshed out and understand why he's done what he's did, and because we only see it through the prism of the Kylo Ren in The Last Jedi, him distorting the truth and showing how the destruction of the Jedi Temple and all these Force people that he was training, how they fell. That's just through his distorted viewpoint of what happened. I mean, it could have been something completely different. It could have been through a whole host of tragedies. He could have met a Mara Jade figure, lost her, could have had children, maybe some tragedies befell there, and that's just turned him into this disenfranchised man we see. But look, it's cool to see this concept art anyway. I think it's a very cool photo, apart from the dead eyes, that is, which remind me of Theoden in the Two Towers when he was getting worm-tongue in his ear and obviously possessed with Saruman to some vein. Very cool photo, and it's cool to see that George Lucas even was on board with this arc. So even if they hadn't handed these over to Disney and he somehow remained on board to do a sequel trilogy, I think we would have seen a very similar look anyway, for the reasons you said, Stephen, as well. Because you can't really do anything else with the character.
No.
So you can't have that whiny guy going on about Apple Eye or Silas and we're in big trouble and stuff like that. You just can't have the same character over a 30-year period. It has to change.
You're right, John. I would like to see, some kind of animated series for Luke Skywalker in that sort of time period, because I think you could get Mark Hamill back to do the voice work for that. I mean, that's where he's plying his trade anyway. Yeah. So it's a great little article. I think it's not going to pacify these staunch Rian Johnson haters or anything like that. You're never going to change these people's minds. I've got issues with The Last Jedi, like a lot of people have, but it is what it is. It's part of the canon now, and you've just got to move on. And let's hope episode 9 can really bring the fans together again. But we're going to move on to the next article, John. This is coming in from MovieWeb, and it's in regards to actress Naomi Akkie's surprising Star Wars 9 role is revealed in the latest set leak. Now, this is in regards to the actress. She's going to be playing Lando Calrissian's daughter, apparently. Yes,
apparently. Some chap from Reddit, usually going by the name of Tamiri Blag1, claims to have been an extra on the set of Star Wars 9, and he's brought back some interesting intel regarding one of the scenes he was a part of that was recently shot. Apparently Naomi Ackie was there, along with a whole host of other characters, and one particular interesting character from the original trilogy, aka, as you did say, Lando Calrissian. What he is hinting at, and well, he's not hinting at it, he's saying that she is his daughter, and that this scene took place in a secret bunker on the planet of Batuu, which is obviously one of the planets that's going to be the official holding area for Disney Parks, Star Wars Galaxy Edge. So great to see, first and foremost, that even if it is not true about the daughter, maybe if they're using that Batuu in some way or form, that's great to see that they're introducing that into the canon or into the sequel trilogy just in time for the parks opening up, so we can maybe experience some part of what the new brand of characters in the sequel trilogy are going on, the adventure they're going on. We can experience that to some degree, but the general gist of what he's saying is that the character's going to be called Vera Nada Calrissian, or nicknamed Vera, which is very 1930s British-esque, and that's an old granny's name from World War II. But Vera is apparently the name. He's broken an NDA, so he's in big trouble, I tell you that, as Luke would say, if he gets found. He's in big trouble. But he says that they were in a guerrilla militia. In a secret type of bunker on the planet of Batuu. There's not a lot of tech that you'd usually see in a Star Wars movie. More hunter and gatherer type of group. Members of this group are in the background and are all seen smithing weapons and keeping busy in other ways. They're trying their best to keep under the nose of the First Order. and that the architecture is magnificent as a real visual treat for viewers. He then goes on to reveal that Poe, Finn and Chewbacca enter the midst of these members of the Resistance, greeted by Dominic Monaghan's character, who's apparently wearing a very cool costume, and that Naomi Ackie is there as Vera, and that there is no mention of a formal leader. But I'm giving on, I don't want to go through the whole quote because it's a very long breakdown, but apparently they discuss recent skirmishes on a planet, and they end up unearthing Domhnall Gleeson's General Hux, who's slinking around in the shadows with some sort of a thing over his head, a bag over his head. Dominic prods him and taunts him a little bit, and apparently General Hux is, as is hinted at in previous shows, Stephen, and in previous rumours, flip-flopping over at the Resistance, giving out intel, hoping that Kylo Ren will make a complete nuisance of himself and end up being chased out of the First Order so he can then return as a triumphant leader. But what do you think of this? Do you want to see Naomi Ackie playing Lando Calrissian's daughter? Are you intrigued by this scene that has been outlined here? Do you want to see them going to Batuu? And what do you make of this possibility of General Hux flip-flopping? It's all interconnecting various leaks and rumours that we've heard before, Stephen. It seems to have a bit of meat to the bones. I don't know whether it's true. We laugh about this though, don't we, man? We laugh about Lando Calrissian. It was the same with Finn. Oh, he must be Lando's son. It's just... I don't mind it actually, John. I think this is one of the things that seems to be a trend with stories and rumours that go about that come hand in hand when we're waiting for the next Star Wars film to come out, where you start to actually see what characters are going to be paired off. We saw it in The Last Jedi with Finn and Rose. When you start to see these leaks coming out and what they're going to be doing, and we're going to see Rey with Luke and Chewbacca, and we're going to see Leia with Poe. This time we're getting to see Poe and Finn, Chewbacca and Vera. They're going to be teaming up with the Dominic Monaghan character. I don't think he's got a name yet. I'm just looking forward to seeing Poe and Lando meeting. I think both of them have quite similar characteristics, and it's going to be very interesting to see. I think that this group of people are going to be based on the Millennium Falcon. I think it'd be it'd be a missed opportunity to have Lando Calrissian return to the Star Wars arc and not be involved with the Millennium Falcon, where it all started for him. Yeah, exactly. And I think this adds a bit of a dynamic to the sort of group with Naomi Akkie's inclusion, playing the daughter of Lando. There's going to be a bit of an age gap there. She looks a lot younger than she should be for his daughter, maybe his granddaughter, but I don't really know too much about the actress, to be honest with you, John. Other than this article, I don't really know what she's done previous to this. I like the idea of this group having a purpose. I hope they do. I hope they don't try and this whole Candidate thing again with a pointless plot, really just to involve the actors who were in the previous movie, because I felt that John Boyega was so wasted in The Last Jedi. He had such potential, the character Finn had such potential in The Force Awakens that I just felt the character was wasted. They had some moments in The Last Jedi which I thought was okay, but nevertheless I like the idea of this band of resistance or rebels, whatever you want to call them, all coming together and discovering General Hux in this sort of state. I do like that, and we have seen these rumours on various platforms, John, over the last few months, with him doing his cry check. That's a reference to the X-Files, and where he just jumps sides to suit his own gains. Definitely, I think there was hints of that in The Last Jedi, that I think he's just going to take a back seat and observe Kylo Ren's leadership and just wait for the right moment to come back in and swoop right under and take control of the First Order. Well, that's one thing I've always liked about the dynamic between Kylo Ren and General Hux. This bickering between the two, they're almost like an older and a younger sibling, vying for the attention and approval of the Supreme Commander Snoke, who's obviously long gone now. He's been halved in two, or is he? Is he still alive? Who knows? But look, I've looked at Naomi Ackie. I didn't know much about her either, I can't lie, Stephen. She's been in Lady Macbeth, but she was also in a TV show from this year called Vera. So, well, have they been looking at that and put two and two together and made a little name up? I don't know. Who knows, man? It seems very fishy indeed. But look, the one thing I do like about this, even if she isn't his daughter, she's not even connected to these characters in any way. The one thing I take from this is the possibility of seeing Poe, Finn, Chewbacca, Lando, Dominic Monaghan's character, and General Hux coming together. Seeing the dynamic between them and just the interactions and dialogue and what adventure they could go off on. I mean, it's going to be fantastic to see this group come together, because what I liked about The Force Awakens initially was the interactions between Poe and Finn, which there wasn't enough of. Finn obviously gets separated, Poe went away, somehow escaped Jakku, and then reacquainted himself with the Resistance, whilst Finn went off on his adventure with Rey and obviously met Han Solo and Chewbacca. So it'd be great to see those two having a bit more screen time together. They're missing out Rose here. Where the hell's Rose? Is she not here? No, Rose Tico not there. She died? I don't know. I can't see Rose not being in there with Finn in any way, shape or form in this secret meeting. Yeah, a bit of a stalker. In this meeting that's taking place. But look, it sounds like an intriguing little story. It sounds like an intriguing little scene that's been created maybe in somebody's mind as a fiction of their imagination. But I hope it's right, because I like the idea of this jungle planet Batuu getting a look in. I like the idea of the bunker, seeing this nitty gritty side of the Resistance trying to join itself together and maybe get its act together in time to fight back the First Order at the end of the film. Apparently this is taking place at the end of the first act of the film, so there's a whole huge chunk of a film that would take place after this if this is indeed right. What I would say is that I do think Naomi Ackie does have quite a bit of resemblance to Billy D. Williams. I've seen a comparison photo of it too. Yeah, the tash, yeah. Well, it's more the eyebrow shape and the eyes, and just the features are quite similar. So it's possible she could be his daughter or granddaughter in some relation. I don't know how they would interconnect it. I don't know how it would work. I'm not J.J. Abrams, so I don't really care about that. As long as it's done organically and it's not too jarring, it's not like, oh Christ, we get a black actress in, so she has to be Lando Calrissian's bloody daughter. I hope it's not like that. But all accounts though, it's a cool little scene. Don't know if it's true, we'll just have to wait until next December to find out, won't we? And on that note, I'm going to move on, Stephen, because I've not got much more to add to it. To the next topic, and it's all about Star Wars revealing Darth Vader's greatest power ever. I think that's a little bit of an exaggeration. Basically, this is another little nitpick we're getting from the Darth Vader comic release. This is the 23rd issue, and it's all about Darth Vader's castle on Mustafar. We're getting more information about it. Obviously, we spoke about this before, Stephen. They revealed that he built the castle, or his fortress, on Mustafar in an attempt to resurrect and communicate with Padme. We thought initially in the comic release and just in general that this was being done under the nose of Emperor Palpatine, that he wasn't aware of it, but apparently in this comic release, I've not read it yet, he apparently revealed that Palpatine was aware of it, and in actual fact was helping him construct this fortress in some way. They were using a Force locus point that obviously pulled Vader there in the first place, plays really strong in the dark side of the Force, as a spot to construct this and use this as a focal point to harness the dark side's power, so he could create this connection with the afterlife, and apparently he does it. He utilises the Force, he utilises some ancient Sith Lord, I believe it's Sith Lord Momin, who was a sculptor and architect in the history of the dark side of the Force. He utilises this alongside the Force locus point. He utilises the dark side's energy, and he opens up a door to the afterlife. He doesn't speak with Padme, but this is going along in that direction that we may well see him speaking with Padme. So what the hell do you make of this? Are you excited to see this new side of Vader, this new power? Are you lighting and blood in this line that he's able to open up a door to the afterlife and speak with people? We've seen this done before with the Jedi, of course, with the Force Ghost. So I feel like it's only right that the dark side of the Force has some ability to maybe transgress the depths of time and death.
I think, John, that this is one of the things that we've not really explored, certainly not in film anyway, that joining the dark side of the Force doesn't mean just having a red lightsaber, and some Force lightning. There's obviously got to be some kind of mystical reason for it as well, and when the first trilogy came out, the original trilogy came out, you did wonder, how did Darth Vader spend his time, silly little thoughts like that, what did they do in the Death Star all day? Have they got a canteen, did they have toilets? And, that kind of thing.
How does he do the
yeah, we don't want to know that. Probably the same way as RoboCop does.
Probably the same way as Ross from Friends, Stephen, which we were watching earlier on when he had the leather trousers on. Getting them off is easy, but getting them back on is not quite so easy. You need talcum powder and lotion, and it doesn't work.
I think on his robotic legs it probably would.
Yeah, it would work, it's not an issue. Forgot about that.
Just put some WD-40 in there. But you're right, John. I think it's a nice filler, and I'm glad they've done it in a comic book. I don't know how this would play off in live action at all. I don't think it would be a bit Flash Gordon, but I think it's interesting to know that Palpatine did have some form of hand in this as well. Yeah. I don't think he was a man you could really fool that easily. No. Bit like Snoke, manipulating this, Force FaceTime thing, in The Last Jedi. I think having his involvement in it and obviously assisting and exploring that power is quite an interesting concept. But I think as well that as you said, we spoke about this a few months ago in regards to Anakin's obsession with Padme and try to really, build bridges, and connect with her once again, and it's unfortunately not happening. I think that's the torment of the character and why he is the way he is, and I think it's an interesting comic strip as well. I think it's great storytelling. Some of the visuals in it as well is very nice to look at. I think the artists have done really well with this, and it's a nice story as well. I think it just adds more to the character Darth Vader. Is it his greatest power? I don't think it is. I think his greatest power was bringing balance to the Force at the end of Return of the Jedi. That was his greatest moment, and that was Anakin Skywalker's decision. It wasn't Darth Vader's decision. So it's an interesting little piece, but I don't really look too much into it. I don't think it changes the character in any way. We don't look at Darth Vader in any new light reading this article or reading the comic strip. I think it is what it is. I think it's quite interesting, but it's not really going to be a game changer.
No, I think it's just again hitting at the humanity inside the machine.
Yeah.
Also, that was what drove him to the dark side and then try to protect Padme, which he failed. The thing that pops into my mind though is if he finally does succeed in connecting with Padme, would he like what he heard? I don't think she was very enamoured with what her husband had turned into. So I think she'd maybe tell him, get lost, I don't like you now.
Yeah, I never thought of that.
Yeah, so or maybe as this article hints at the end, he did it just to crush that final little bit of light within him. Although we know that's not true. Because Luke still finds light within him when we get to the original trilogy and he redeems him. Because that's the type of guy Luke is until we see The Last Jedi. I'm only kidding. But we move on, Stephen, because I ain't got more to add to that, to the next topic, and it's all about, this is going to be a short one, the original Yoda puppeteer.
Yeah, who's a short one?
Yeah, who really hated the puppet's appearance in the episode 1. Well, the puppet that used to be in episode 1, because it was obviously airbrushed out of history, which I'm sure George would have liked to have did with the holiday specials, but he failed. But he succeeded with this to a degree, changed it to a CG one, but we still get that horrendous puppet in some guys are there and another, and it was a horrendous puppet. The puppeteer says that they built a puppet for episode 1, The Phantom Menace, but made the mistake of trying to update Yoda. They resculptured him and made him out of a different material which was heavier. Then because he was transparent instead of opaque, it meant light didn't hit him the same way, so his colour wasn't the same. I don't think it was just the colour, it wasn't the same, Stephen. I think the eyes and just about everything wasn't the same. It wasn't the same bloody... John, it wasn't the same Yoda.
That picture there, it looks like a cross between Albert Einstein, connecting with that vat of acid in RoboCop. That's what it looks like. It looks horrendous. It doesn't look like Yoda in any fashion. He looks the same age as Yoda. This was the sort of the thing that I think they failed on. They're trying to make him look a lot younger, but he's got an 800, 900
exactly, when he's 800 years old,
he's not really going to change in 10, 15 years or whatever it was between The Phantom Menace and The Empire Strikes Back. It might have been longer than that, maybe 25 years. Yeah,
25, 30 years. Yeah, I mean, he's 800 years old. How much is he going to change in that time? I don't think much. The wrinkles are pretty much well set in there, and they don't change like that. And his eyes don't change like that, man. He's got cross eyes. It's not Yoda. It's terrible. What have they done to Yoda? Master Yoda. It reminds me of that video, Stephen, from back in the day, where someone recreated a fan fiction video. And they had the Emperor speaking to Yoda, but it sounded Chinese. Master Yoda. But that was better than this. Oh, so that tells you how bad it was. But look, it's intriguing to see that even the puppeteers from the film weren't happy with it, that the appearance was off, and that you absolutely detested it. All things considered, just about everybody detested it apart from George. Although when we do get, apart from George, who finally seen sense in that obviously CG'd in a different version of Yoda, which was much better. And again, you look at that comparison of a CG from 2011 and the 1999 version, it's ridiculous. His eyes are about twice the size, and the ears are wrong. They're pointing down like some mad 47 variety mutt dog. It just can't position its ears the right way. Everything about it is wrong, man. Everything about it is wrong. And I don't know if you've got much more to add before we wistfully move right on to the next and final topic in the show. I says it'd be short and sweet, and it's just intriguing, as I did say, seeing the puppeteer coming out and bashing that horrific bloody puppet, like everyone else has done over the last 20 years. The final topic, incidentally, because I'm gibbering away here, is all about the Star Wars Episode 9 trailer and a potential release date. Well, apparently it's huge news that will make fans very happy as well. I don't know about that, it wouldn't make me happy. But the gist of the story is that a new report is saying that they're really excited because a lot of trailer production agencies out there are going to start working on Episode 9 in just 2 weeks, i.e. the teaser, in just 2 weeks from now, working with footage provided by Disney Lucasfilm. They say that this could mean that we will get a first look at some footage by the very beginning of 2019. Why else would they be working on it in December if we weren't going to get any footage before April at Star Wars Celebration? Now, I say this isn't particularly huge news for me because I was expecting to get a trailer or a teaser of some sort before then, but maybe I'm being greedy, Stephen. I think everyone was expecting January to February anyway. And they do say that trailer production agencies, generally speaking, make multiple versions, and then the filmmakers go on to decide which one will hit the screens or the TVs, the one that suits audiences and adds some hype for the movie. So I don't know what you make of this. Are you shocked with this announcement? It's intriguing to hear that they've putting the wheels in motion. They're getting trailer production agencies involved. We are going to get this trailer sooner rather than later. And also everyone's forgetting about this in the midst of the hype for Avengers 4 and the trailer that's coming out. They're forgetting there's another film in 2019 coming out, another big one, and there's a trailer due very shortly. What do you make of it?
Oh, I don't know, John, because I don't know if it's going to be like that sort of teaser thing we got for The Last Jedi. I think it was just I think it might have been January 2016 where it was just that short scene with Luke and Rey, and it was
I think that was just to signify them starting production.
I hope so. But the one thing that will have to come before all this is actually the title of the film. They're going to have to release this soon if they're thinking about a trailer, unless they're just going to go with Episode 9 as the sort of the banner until they figured that out. But I think I don't think that's going to be the case. I think the title will probably get in January. I think that was roughly about the same time as The Last Jedi came out, and I think we will get the first teaser trailer being released for the Super Bowl. I think that's the prediction anyway from this article, but I think that's what will probably happen. I think we'll get the title probably in January, and we'll get the first teaser trailer in February. I'm looking forward to it, John. After episode 8, I didn't really know what to expect from episode 9, but over the last few months we're starting to get little droplets of where the plot may go, and we already know most of the cast. You're going to get Richard E. Grant in there, Dominic Monaghan's coming in as well, so I'm glad to see those two are coming in. I like both actors. And obviously with the introduction of this actress Naomi Ackie, who's going to play Lando's daughter. So it's good to see this all starting to come out now. But I'm looking forward to any form of trailer, I've got to be honest with you. I like the way they do the trailers. Some are better than others, but I don't think there's been a bad one, has there?
No, there hasn't. It's because they tend to utilise new music and stuff specifically for the trailers. And it's designed in a way to create hype, so if you put out a shit trailer and there's really something wrong, even the Transformer films, which are just a utter pile of shit in the main, they know how to make good trailers. A lot of people see right through it now, so sadly they don't go and watch the film most of the time. I don't anyway. But look, I agree with you. I think it'll be January time. Probably we'll get a title. Teaser trailer will pop up in around about February Super Bowl. Sadly, I thought it would be this year, but no, it's not going to happen. And then we'll get a full, proper trailer come celebration time. And I can't wait for that, because I'm looking forward to it now. I can't wait to see J.J. Abrams and whether he's able to close out this sequel trilogy in a way that will unite the fan base and make everyone happy again. I don't know. But that's bringing us to the end of the show, because I ain't got much more to add. We'd just like to thank you for listening to us talking about all things Star Wars, and we will be back next Tuesday with Box Office Chat.
Remember guys, if you enjoyed that episode, then do hit that like button, comment below, and maybe subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already. If you want to follow us on social media for all the latest updates from Movie Burner Entertainment, then we can be found on Twitter and Facebook at Movie Burners. You can also listen to us on Google Play and iTunes at the Movie Burner Podcast. And last but not least, if you want to access all the latest written reviews and the occasional article, then that can be found on our website at movieburnerentertainment.org. Until the next time, goodbye.